Our role is not to build the power of a political party or a candidate. It doesn't matter if candidates and parties are controlling the wrecking ball or simply standing aside to let it happen. The outcome is the same either way. If leaders aren't blocking the wrecking ball and advancing working families' interest, then working people will not support them. This is where our focus will be now, in 2012 and beyond.
It's Rich Trump declaring kind of political independence. Declaring political independence. I want to bring in Saladin Muhammad, an organizer of the local United Electrical Workers Union, which is seeking President Obama's support in its fight with the city of Charlotte. Saladin, can you tell us a little bit about the history of anti-unionism in North Carolina? Is profound and fascinating, and in some senses is a kind of dark vision of what the future of the entire country might look like. What are the conditions under which you are working to try to build the labor movement in terms of North Carolina's legal structure?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to state that North Carolina epitomizes a regional problem. In all 12 southern states together combined, there are more union members in the state of New York than all 12 southern states combined. So, it's important to really recognize the role that the South has played overall in weakening labor throughout the country. The South has become a global region, In North Carolina in 1947, when the Taft-Hartley Act was passed, and also in 59 when right to work was established, there were no blacks in the legislature. Black people couldn't even vote. So when we think about the emergence of right to work, particularly throughout the South, it comes out of a particular history, that had a system of Jim Crow, which had already shaped the relationship between workers and the employers. In North Carolina, we call right to work a Jim Crow law, the last Jim Crow law here. In Charlotte, it's so important to point to Charlotte because Charlotte was the leader in leading to the enactment of the denial of collective bargaining for all all public sector employees, state, county, and local government. In 58, the chairperson of the Chamber of Commerce of Charlotte introduced the report and proposed the bill. Their representative proposed the bill calling for the prohibition of collective bargaining rights, not only the prohibition, but to make it illegal for all public sector workers to join the union. And
my understanding is that there was even a misdemeanor law on the books in North Carolina that it was illegal to be a member of a union, which is obviously plainly and patently unconstitutional because you have the freedom of association in this country, and that was struck down by the Supreme Court, but kept on the books in North Carolina.
Yes.
Now I want to ask this question.
Absolutely. In fact,
go ahead.
In fact, the North Carolina Public Service Workers Union had to challenge that, and they had to get a print change because supervisors would use that statute in the bold headlines of that it's illegal to join the union and it's a misdemeanor to scare the workers from joining and organizing a union.
Saladin Muhammad from the United Electrical Workers in Charlotte, North Carolina. Tell us about what the workers that you're trying to organize are facing. I think one of the arguments that gets made about public sector unions, they just want big pensions and benefits. And because people are used to hearing about it in the context of people that already have union contracts, we forget sometimes what jobs like, say, being a sanitation worker in Charlotte can look like when you don't have representation.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to recognize that the attack on public sector workers is an attack on public services. And there's an attempt to hide that. Organized workers are the strongest power to defend public services. This attack on public sector workers is a part of a strategy toward privatizing public services and again, making them for-profit entities. That's very, very much missing I think, in the argument, in the debate. It's a part of the social safety net that working class people rely on. Here in North Carolina and also in Tampa, it's ironic, that the whole Republican and Democratic convention, you can secure federal grants and federal funding in the amount of $50 million in Tampa and $50 million in Charlotte. Now, but the workers, can't get a decent raise. Workers are required to work 12 to 15 hours a day. They've enacted now a new policy of minor infractions, accidents, etc., of 30 days suspension without pay. Now, anytime workers are working 12 hours a day, it's quite possible that somebody might have an accident. Yet these workers don't have any official voice. The only voice they have is when they picket the city hall, or when they go and pack the city council meetings, or when they call on their allies, to make noise on their behalf. This is why it's so important, because in a society and an economy where a job is required in order to provide basic necessities for the family, then workers' rights is a human right. Because it will just dislodge the whole community if workers have no rights to be able to address the issues that impact them on the job.